I'm Ben, and this is Hyperfine, resources and tutorials for architects by architects. Today I'm sharing 5 test strategies to help prepare and pass the ARE 5.0. I passed my last exam in October 2017. I did the 2+3 method, so I had 5 exams overall. It took me 11 months to get through them with no fails. When I passed my last exam, my daughter was almost 2. My wife was 9 months pregnant. I also work full-time and teach an evening class. So if I can do it, you can do it. These tests are difficult, but they're passable. I'm going to share with you today what worked for me. Before we get to these strategies, I want to share 2 free resources with you. The first is my 8-week PDD PPD study guide. I took these tests about 10 days apart, and so I was preparing for both of them together, and I was pretty nervous about them, so I made a very specific study plan, a really strict guideline for what I should be studying and when. I was very active on the NCARB ARE 5.0 forum, and when I was done with this exam, someone asked what I had done to prepare. So I shared my email address, and since then, a lot of people have been emailing asking for this study plan. Since then, I've added some information, and it's now a free download on my website. Check it out. The second free resource is my review of the study materials I used. Right, there's so much out there. There's third-party study guides, there's books, there's practice tests, there's videos, and we can't use them all. They all seem to be really expensive. So I can tell you what I used. I had access to quite a bit, either through things I purchased or a lot of books I had left over from school that happened to be on the ARE matrix. And so I'm going to tell you what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them, and whether I would or would not buy these again. That's on my website as well. Okay, ARE 5.0 test strategy. Let's go. Strategy number 1. Remember, this is an architecture exam. You're not a structural engineer or a mechanical engineer, an electrician, a plumber, a lawyer. You're not any of those things, but you do have to understand how to talk to those people and how to sort of coordinate their jobs in a big picture kind of way. So keep that in mind as you're answering questions, especially on the structural side. Don't worry about memorizing every single formula. But if a structural answer doesn't seem obvious, just given the structural things that you know, consider the architectural implications, and a lot of times the answer will become obvious. I would definitely read FEMA 454. That's a free download. You can Google it. I also link to it on my website. I answered questions on PPD and PDD specifically because I was familiar with Chapter 5 of that resource. Strategy number 2, don't worry about missed questions. We all miss questions. We all miss a lot of questions. On every test I took, there were some questions where I had no idea what the information was. I couldn't even begin to do an educated guess. Even worse, when it was when a subject that I was really strong in, and I thought the diagram was really bad or the information wasn't in the section it was supposed to be in, and I couldn't answer that question. And it was frustrating. But NCARB has said that the passing score is anywhere from 57 to 68%. We don't know which of those scores go with which exams, but let's take the worst case scenario and you need to get a 68%, the highest score on PDD. That means that out of 120 questions, you only need to get 82 questions correctly. You can miss 38 questions, right? You can miss a lot of questions, so don't worry if you feel like you're missing a lot. I don't say this to make people feel bad, but the highest score is a 68. That's a D. So I have faith that you're a D student and you can pass this test. Strategy 3. Take lots of practice tests and don't worry about the score you get. A 90% on a practice test really doesn't mean anything when you get into the actual exam. But practice tests are great for 2 reasons. The first is that the ARE, and really any standardized exam, is testing you as much on your ability to take a test as it is on your actual knowledge of the subject. So getting as many test questions as you can in beforehand and practice sort of reading and thinking critically about the questions is really going to help you when you get to actual test day. The second great thing I think about practice tests is that they're good for little research items. So if you're taking a test and you get to a question you don't really know about, don't worry about trying to guess the answer in a minute or whatever your allotted time is. Spend some time, open up one of your resources like Graphic Standards or MEEB or whatever you have, and spend some time searching for that information. That, I guarantee, is going to give you a lot of information that you wouldn't otherwise have had just by trying to get a high score on the test. Strategy number 4, look for answers to some questions in other questions. All 6 of these exams are long, comprehensive tests, and a lot of the information is covered more than once in more than one question, maybe asked a different way or from a different angle. So if you don't have everything memorized, like you don't know all your egress widths and egress distances and door clearances and that kind of stuff, look to see if that information is actually given to you in another question. Especially look for multiple choice answers in the resources you get with the case studies, right? So if you don't know some of that code information, you're going to get that code snippet over in the case study. So try to go through the test and keep in mind the questions you weren't so sure about and see if that information is given to you elsewhere. Strategy number 5, don't be shy. You know a lot, so join the conversation. What I mean is I'm encouraging you to join active online communities like the ARE 5.0 forum or ARE Coach or whatever other forums are out there that you might be reading about the ARE exams. Just to be able to sit for this exam, you have a lot of knowledge. And if you think that what you know is just really basic and simple and you don't actually have something to share, keep in mind that what is simple to you might actually be new and really valuable information to someone else. So don't take for granted the amount of knowledge that you have just to be able to sit for this exam. I found that when I stopped just reading the forums and started asking questions, and even better, started trying to answer questions for other people, it really helped me focus on the things that I knew and didn't know. And I always did a little bit of research on a question before I posted it on the forum, which has helped me get a little bit more background on that one specific topic. And I found that was really, really helpful when I came to test day. And that's it, my 5 strategies to help you prepare for and pass the AREs. Good luck with your test. If you got any questions, leave a comment or contact me through the website. Then pass your tests and get one of these so you can quit studying and get back to doing real architecture.